your host, Cain Stevens. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cain Stevens Super Show. I am your host, Cain Stevens, and I have another super guest on my hands. I've been lining them up for you guys, giving you guys great guests, and this guest will be no different. They are a hypnotist. I know we had a hypnotist not too long ago, but it fascinates me. So I want to talk to somebody else who does this as well and see if they're really super villains or if they're not. So with that being said, let's give them an applause, everybody. I have Aza Rose, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
So you're in northern Colorado, and we were just kind of briefly talking about the weather. Obviously, I live in a tropical paradise behind me, Lincoln, Nebraska, and what you would expect the Midwest to be, right?
That's right.
But you guys are usually getting slammed with snow right now, and
I know. It's been crazy. We haven't had any. And, me being the worry word, I'm just worried about, the drought that we're in.
right. It could be crazy. It seems like the weather and everything is kind of shifting. Not to be like an old person and talk about the weather right away, but it seems like the weather is getting really strange, and it's like tornado alleys moving away from the Midwest and all this stuff. The seasons are kind of changing. Maybe there is something to, climate change and stuff. I don't know. What do you say you on the climate?
I mean, not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I believe in climate change. I'm seeing it firsthand right now without the snow. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know.
You think Al Gore is full of it, or was Al Gore right the whole time?
I
That's
think he was right the whole time, dude.
I think so too, man. But eventually he's gonna come out with the big reveal, like, and then he's gonna pull his mask off and he's gonna be like, it'll be like an episode of Scooby Doo, but instead of being like the bad guy, he'll be the good guy for a change. That's what I think.
It'll be Al Gore under the Al Gore mask.
Yes, it will. Exactly. So, let's talk to my audience about hypnotism. We had a hypnotist from Canada on not too long ago and named Jesse Lewis, and I've been calling him Canada's favorite hypnotist. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's mine in Canada, and so now I want a American hypnotist, and so now I have you. Tell me how you got into hypnotism and why you got into hypnotism.
Yeah, so my story might be a little bit different than Jesse's, but my story with hypnotism started during my transition as a transgender individual. I was in a really, really bad relationship, really, really bad kind of mental health state. And I actually started hypnosis as self hypnosis to kind of help me, start living my life authentically. And that was back in 2018, 2019. And then a couple years later, I started doing it on friends and family and realized, just how powerful it can be for other people. And now I go around and do shows helping people kind of overcome any obstacles and live their life authentically.
Awesome, and that seems like a really good reason to get into it. Would you be willing to dive into the transition process for you and how it's been for you? Or if not, that's okay. I can always edit it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have always been I feel like the LGBTQ plus community is a spectrum. I don't feel like anyone's gay, straight, bi 100% of the way. I don't believe anyone's cis 100% of the way. I don't believe anyone, is 100% anything. So I've always known that something was up. I've kind of experienced every letter under that LGBTQIA plus umbrella. But back in 2018, I came out as non-binary. I was in a very different relationship living in Chicago. So, that same tropical Midwest paradise.
Yes.
Um, and I came out as non-binary, and that almost felt right. But it wasn't until about 2019 that I was like, no, like that's not quite it. And I started socially transitioning back then, but I was in an ultra conservative area, an ultra conservative suburb of Chicago, Wheaton, if you are familiar. I started a nonprofit out there to help LGBTQIA folks kind of, survive in that area. And that's how kind of being immersed in, the verbiage, kind of seeing other people's experience and how closely it resonated with mine. I was like, oh, I think that's what I am. I think I am a trans woman, and I think that's, the life that I want to live. And in the relationship that I was in, I remember very vividly, it was about the same weekend that I got into self hypnosis. I came out to my partner at the time and a couple of our friends, and I said, look, like, I think I'm trans. I think I want to be a woman. I think I want to go on estrogen. I think all of these things. And he said to me, well, I don't really want to be dating a trans woman. And so at that point, like, this was a person that I was supposed to marry. At that point, I kind of realized that, my whole life was changing and shifting. And I felt very isolated, very alone. And I got into self hypnosis kind of as a way to start living authentically myself. And starting to experiment with new names, starting to dress kind of more feminine, start kind of I stopped caring what other people thought of me for the first time in my life. I stopped caring what people thought of me.
So, I mean, what this was obviously hard for you, right? I mean, you grew up, you grew up in the Midwest. You said it's a conservative area. Would you say that a lot of, would you say religious people treated you badly? I mean, how do you think do you think it was a lot to do with the way that people believe religiously?
Oh, absolutely. The person that I was in the relationship with was a he was a very religious individual, or at least that's how he grew up. So he still had kind of that mindset of, there's a man and a woman, and that's it. He wasn't out to his family when I was identifying as a gay man. Like, I was the roommate, so it was always kind of this like weird closeted feeling already. And then when I kind of went above and beyond and started living my authentic life, it was very much like, oh, like, this is something that I can't handle. That's kind of how he felt.
Yeah. And did you always feel this way? I mean, I think it's an important question to ask and to have answered because there are so many people who have never talked to a gay person or have never talked to someone who's tried to transition or anything. Maybe they avoid them. Maybe they've just never been around them. I don't know what it is. I personally, I've been around many gay people before. You know, the high school that I went to was very mixed culture of people, including gay people, even trans people. And to me, people are people. I mean, to me, a loving soul is a loving soul. A bad person's a bad person, and that's where the gray area is. It's not, oh boy, here comes another gay person. I can't imagine wanting to have anything to say to them, right? Like, I can't imagine being that. But was it hard for you growing up? Like, did people treat you awfully?
So you've asked me three questions, and I'm going to try to hit them all at once. First off, have I always kind of known? Yeah, the answer is yes. And I experienced through the self hypnosis process, I was kind of able to go back and relive some of the memories that I had growing up, and it really started, illuminating. Oh, well, why didn't my family know sooner? Why didn't people, catch on sooner? Just from the things that I said, I used to dress up all the time. I always wanted to wear makeup. I always wanted to wear dresses. I always wanted to be one of the girls. So I've always known, but I first originally came out when I was 7. I came out to my mom as bisexual, and her response was, "Well, that doesn't exist."
Right.
And then when I came out as, a gay man a few years later, the sentiment was, well, at least, or as long as you're not trans, that's all that I care about, so that you're safe. And a lot of what the self hypnosis that I did and a lot of what I do for my transgender clients is kind of changing that narrative, those different things that were told to us as kids growing up of, you have to fit into this box, you have to wear these clothes, you have to do these sports, and really just kind of reshaping that world for me, kind of there's a saying, it's never too late to have a good childhood. And I think hypnosis really drives that home, because I can go back and I can change the way that people responded. I can go back and change the way that I acted and really live my authentic life in all of my memories, and kind of take away the hurt and the sting of all of those negative things that were said to me about, who I was.
Right.
You also said, a kind soul is a kind soul and a bad person is a bad person. And I'm going to dispute that and say that I don't think that there are any bad people. I think there's just bad situations.
I think
I
that's fair to say. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just gonna say, maybe it was a little off base, and I do want to put it this way. Um, I'm not saying that because I'm talking to a trans or gay person. I don't find you to be bad. I'm saying, but there are some evil people out there. There's some bad people. I do agree with you. It's better to look in the other way of there's good in everybody, and I completely agree with that. But some people are pretty rotten, but they're just misguided. Okay. That's
Yeah.
what it is. They grew up in a wrong path. They didn't have people supporting them. So you're absolutely right. I just want to clarify my statement.
Yeah. But I think now we get into the real controversy. I think if everyone's needs are being met, I think, crime, I think those bad people start to look more few and far between. I try to look for the good in everyone that I meet, and that's just me. I really try. I try to assume positive intent in everyone's actions and everyone's, day-to-day life. And that's actually one of the presuppositions of, being a hypnotist, is assuming positive intent and knowing that everyone's making the right decisions with what they know now in the moment.
Yeah. I love that, man. I really do love the fact that I love that anybody would look at it that way. I feel I look at it to a certain extent. I trust people too quickly. I give them the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of times it does burn me because I feel like people have the ability to be good, right? To do
Mm-hmm.
good things, to be honest and all of that. But then sometimes things get in the way. So I love that about what you're saying. I think what I'm it's very interesting to me. You took all of this through your life and you decided I'm going to take it a step further and I'm going to kind of repair myself and I'm going to do some self hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you don't want to continue to talk about like I will ask you a few more questions as the conversation goes on because I would love to know your answer.
Yeah.
Uh, but tell me then how you got into self hypnosis and what is self hypnosis.
Yeah, great question. So I got into self-hypnosis truly just from YouTube. I looked up, I knew something was up, and I knew something within me was like, I really have to dig with these feelings that I have right now. And what self-hypnosis is, at least how I experienced it and how I kind of help my clients get through it, is self-hypnosis is like guided meditation. You take yourself deeper and deeper into your unconscious mind, and you go back to wherever you need to go back to, and you experience what you felt, what you saw, what you heard. And if you need to, you can change it. If not, self used just to relax.
Right.
Self hypnosis can also be used just to, like, I can say, you know in a moment, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to take a deep breath in and out. And as I do, I'm going to start to, smell the ocean air behind me. I'm going to start to hear the waves. I'm going to hear the rustling of the palm trees. I can feel the sand beneath my toes. And it's really just an immersive experience into a memory, into a.
Uh-oh. We froze here. Okay, you're back. Sorry, you froze for a moment. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. It looks like I don't know, is your internet freezing? Mine seems to be going okay for now.
I think it was mine. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Just I'll just edit it. So just try to pick up where you left off. You're good.
Yeah. So self hypnosis is immersing yourself in those feelings, in those senses, in kind of all of that, so that everything else just starts to fade away.
Yeah.
If I can start to really focus on the sand beneath my toes, the crashing water waves, if I can start to really focus on what the sound of those palm fronds sound like blowing in the wind, and I can actually feel that salty air, maybe right on my cheeks. And that's the things that I'm focusing on. Everything else starts to fade away. Anything else that I may hear, anything else that I may feel, everything else just starts to fade away as I start to sink even deeper and deeper into this experience.
Okay. That makes sense. But is it dangerous? I guess the question I like to ask the hypnotists I talk to you, do you think that self hypnosis is dangerous if done in the wrong way?
Why?
I don't know. I that's what I want to ask you. I mean, you're the hypnosis, no, excuse me, hypnotist, and I honestly have no idea. I get the principle of how it works. Uh,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But is it so you don't think there's anything? I'm not saying there is, but you don't think there's any danger to it if somebody were to do something wrong or suggest the wrong things to themselves. You think that it's perfectly safe.
So here's my model on hypnosis. First, let me disclaimer, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not even saying that it is a perfect model. I'm not even saying that it works.
Yeah.
But this is the way that I see it. So we've got two parts of our mind. We've got our unconscious mind and we've got our conscious mind. Our conscious mind can, kind of absorb 7 ± 2 bits of information every second. Our unconscious mind is processing 3 to 70 million bits of information every single second. I bet right now, if I said to you, are you controlling, your heart pumping? Are you actively controlling your breathing? You're probably focusing on it now. You probably feel your heartbeat a little bit stronger. You probably are noticing your breathing. You may even notice the shoes wrapped around your feet right now. But your unconscious mind is always processing all of this information while your conscious mind is just keeping you in the here and now. You're talking to me, you're listening to the sound of my voice. That's one. You're sitting in the chair, you probably feel the chair beneath your butt. That's two. You probably feel the headphones and the beanie on your head. You may even feel the clothes on your body. Like, these are the things that our mind is always processing. Our conscious mind is filtering all of those things for what we think is important right now. Whenever we go into our unconscious mind, we've got all of our memories, we've got all of our feelings, we've got all of our processes. Whenever I help anybody, whenever I do any stage shows, whenever I do any, one-on-one clients, I'm bringing people down into that sense of hypnosis. I'm, I'm letting them take themselves on a journey. I'm letting them kind of imagine that beach, right? And I'll just say to them, your unconscious mind can find that resource that you need right now to make whatever issue you're trying to deal with just that much better. And your unconscious mind can install those resources at whatever pace and speed you need to start living your most beautiful and authentic life. See, in there, I'm not telling you anything.
Right.
I'm letting your mind do all the work. I'm letting your mind paint the picture, feel the things, hear the things. I'm letting your mind do that internal search now to find whatever your internal search, whatever your unconscious mind thinks that it needs to help you right now. And then I pull you out of hypnosis with only when you've got those resources fully installed and you are ready to live your most authentic and beautiful life. Not once do I, it's not, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not even claiming to be any of those. I'm an unconscious coach. I bring you down, show you around, let you find the things that you need to find and bring you back. Simple as that.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
I think if you're doing self hypnosis, it's the same thing. You go down, find whatever resources, and come back up. You can't get stuck. You can't install anything that your unconscious mind thinks is going to be dangerous. So no, I don't think it's dangerous to do self hypnosis, even if you're doing it wrong. If you're doing it wrong, you just won't get into it.
yeah. No, that makes sense. I wonder about a mind like myself. I have a wrecking ball mind, is what I call it. The reason I call it that is this: is my mind moves so fast sometimes,
Mm.
and it's so exhausting that it feels like a curse. It's a blessing in some respects because I'm fast at, my surroundings, I'm fast at what's happening to me, how am I going to react, this and that. But it's also a curse because it's thinking all the time, even when I wish I couldn't think, even when I wish I could sit there and I could just not worry about this stupid, minute little detail,
Mm.
this and that. So do you think that a person like myself can be helped through his hypnosis?
When you say helped, what do you mean helped?
Well,
What do you want help with?
right. I think helping, that's a wonderful question. Let me see if I can answer it as best I can. I think if I were to ask for help, and it's not a cry for help from me. If I were to ask for help, I would ask for some way to look at things in a better way. You know what I mean? Maybe be calmer. Um, maybe
Mm.
maybe just I don't know
Calmer.
how you do it. Slow my mind down, do
Mm.
that sort of thing. Just try to give myself a breather from thinking without like take make myself completely brain dead. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah. So let me ask you this. What would you like to happen?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I would like to just I'd like to enjoy parts of life in a different way. I enjoy life, but sometimes I overthink things to death. You get what I mean? Like I'll take any scenario and I will immediately play it out like a robot and come up with all these scenarios, what be
So
it
let me stop you right there.
yeah.
Here you go talking about your problem. I
Mhm.
asked you what you wanted. What do you want?
Yeah, that I don't know, I guess. I don't know what I want. I
I
just
mean, I heard that you wanted to enjoy parts of life in a different way.
yeah.
What does that look like for you? How will you know that you're enjoying parts of life in a different way?
I don't know if I ever would because I don't think I've ever seen it from that side. So it'd be
Just
hard.
pretend. Pretend.
Okay. So if I were to pretend and to look at it from a different like if I were to look outside my body at the same person and
Yeah.
I would if I saw them doing this, I would see them just going through life calmly.
Oh,
Okay.
calmly. What does that look like?
Calm to me looks like shorts and flip-flops on the beach. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like
Mm,
that to me feels calm, or me fishing next to the lake. You know what I'm saying, with nobody around me
yeah.
except for maybe my son. That's what calm looks like to me.
Yeah. What does it feel like? What do you feel in shorts and flip flops?
I feel the wind hitting my, the small breeze hitting my legs. I can actually feel my leg hair kind of moving a little bit with the breeze. I
Yeah,
can feel the water kind of as the wave crashes next to me, kind of hitting me a little bit and refreshing me. I
that's right.
I can feel it all. I can feel. I see where you're going with this. I really do.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. What does it sound like when you're in shorts and flip flops on the beach? What do you hear?
It sounds. I hear the water. I hear the wind. Really, I just like water, I guess.
That's right.
Uh, I I hear all the sounds around me. The mainly just focusing on the weather and
Yeah.
which I enjoy being out in it.
And what kind of weather is it right now? Are there clouds in the sky?
No, it's sunny for days, not too hot, not too cold. Probably
Just right.
yeah, right as summer hits, you know what I mean? Like right after spring where the
Mm.
temperature is perfect. That'd be it.
And that would be calm for you.
That would be super calm for me. The
And
calmest.
what if I told you you can experience that now? Would you want to?
Yes, I always want to. I'm starting to feel calmer just talking to you about it as we.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you can just allow yourself to feel as calm as you need. And all you have to do is just take a deep breath in and out. That's right. All the way down. That's right. How are your eyes feeling?
Good.
Are they
Heavier
feel? Yeah.
to feel kind of
Interesting.
yeah,
That's
start
right.
a little bit tired.
Interesting. That's right. What other questions do you have for me?
Well, now you got me in a calm funk, like I
You
maybe
just said you want to be calmer.
I know maybe I need the chaos to
So
survive.
let me ask you now,
Yeah.
can a mind like yours be calmed down?
I think you answered my question on the show just now. I mean, yes, I can be calm. Um, and what you did was for the listener, I hope you guys are getting this too. It was really interesting because you just kind of took me down the path. You made me focus on something that calms me, and it actually did. Like it seems so simple, but when you let everything get in the way, right?
That's
Inside
right.
your mind, when you let all these other intrusive thoughts or just ridiculous thoughts in general get in the way, it gets in the way of your calmness. I already feel better talking to you.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let me give you and your listeners just a quick, easy way to get into this calm state.
Okay.
It's it's the Betty Erickson induction. Super simple. You can do it on yourself. It's a way to be a little bit more mindful. And the way that I do it with my clients is I have them, find a comfortable spot and take as long as you need. Find a place that you can sit, relax. If you're sitting down, feet on the floor, hands not touching, maybe both on every leg, right? And I want you to just in the here and now notice three things that you see, three things that you hear, and three things that you feel. And then the same thing, two things you see, hear, feel, one thing you see, hear, feel. Take a deep breath in. And then I want you to just go back into a past pleasant memory. Anytime that you felt really, really good, close your eyes now. Good, that's right. And notice three things that you see in this past pleasant memory, three things that you hear, and three things that you feel. That's right, all the way down. And as you notice two things that you see, two things that you hear, and two things that you feel, start to notice that changing sensation as you take a deep breath in and out. That's right. And one thing that you see, one thing that you hear, and one thing that you feel as the muscles in your neck start to relax as you drop your chin down to your chest. That's right. All the way down. Perfect. And that slight swaying that you may be feeling can just let you even deeper into the sense of peace and calm. And I want your mind to do an internal search and find that resource that you need to install. And only come back to the here and now once that resource is fully and completely installed. Hi,
Hello.
where did you go?
I went to I went to the Ozarks where my grandparents lived. That's my happy place.
I love that.
To Table Rock Lake. I went there every summer. Pretty much any time. Yeah. I went there. I could see it fully. I could feel once again it's that lake scenario. Maybe that's what always makes me happy. I could hear the boats, going by. I could hear my grandpa hammering in the barn making something. I could feel the whole thing. I feel great.
Good.
Yeah. It
And
was
that is hypnosis. I didn't tell you anything. I didn't do anything. You did it all yourself.
yeah,
Hypnosis is not something, it's not a magic power. I'm not a villain. It's not something that I'm doing to you.
right.
It's something that you're doing to yourself.
It's the power of suggestion, correct? It's you're suggesting techniques that we can use on ourselves and we can get there. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This thank
So just to recap, it's three, two, one of things you see, hear, feel in the here and now, pleasant memory. Three, two, one of things you see, hear, feel in that pleasant memory. If anybody wants to do a little bit of self hypnosis and experience what Cain just experienced.
I hope you guys, the listeners, I hope that you are enjoying this, and I hope that you would try this method, especially if you're a person like myself who thought that I couldn't get calm when we started. And I feel calm as a bomb, as as they say, even though a bomb's not calm. I feel pretty good. I feel great right now. I feel a lot more relaxed. One thing as an interviewer and as someone who's being an interviewee, it's weird because we're meeting each other for the first time. We've made
Correct.
contact online, but we've never actually talked. So the first initial questions and everything can be a little bit awkward, and I'm an awkward person. Uh,
Same.
but this is how we get through it. But I love this experience. This is the true human experience, and what a great time to be alive, where we can talk from different parts of the world. And here we are doing a podcast together. And I love this as part of the human experience. It's really helped me to understand people more, because I used to walk around in fear, terrified of people, even though I was an entertainer, a musician. I've done a lot of stuff in the spotlight, but when the you shut the lights off and the people were there, I was terrified. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to hide
Yeah.
from all of them. So I've always been good at having like a switch where I could turn the switch on and off whenever I wanted. It didn't matter how bad my day was. It didn't matter if my life was in a complete and total. So it's interesting that I tell you that I can't get calm, but I have this weird switch
Interesting.
that I can do, that I can use, and I can feel it. It's like a mental switch. I used to walk on stage, and I would tell myself, all right, I'm animated now, I'm exciting, I have to be the lead singer, I have to play my guitar, I have to entertain people, or I won't get paid, or I won't do this. And I would flip that switch, and boom, there I was. And then when it was over with, the switch came off, and then, oh no, here's the other Cain, you know what I mean, the other guy. It was almost like having a different personality, to be honest with you. But I don't really feel that way in my real life. It was more just as an entertainer. I think that maybe that's a certain type of mind. I don't know. Do you have that at all? Do you flip the switch a lot with people?
It's very interesting that you are describing the switch that you flip for the entertainment world. I get it. Love it. There's a switch that I always have to flip before my shows too. Before my hypnosis shows, I have to I have to flip the switch to become, hypnotist Aza, right?
Yeah.
Um, but wouldn't it be nice if you could just also have a switch right next to that one that just if you just needed it, whenever you needed it, you could just imagine it and just flip it, and you could be just a little bit calmer. You can be back at the Ozarks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can install that whenever you want. But so that is actually, it's very interesting that you say that. I believe, again, my model, not saying it's right, not saying it works, not even saying that anybody should listen to me. None of this. I'm just some weird trans girl on the internet. My model of hypnosis is the ego state model. So we all have about, 10 to 15 ego states that we kind of call upon at different parts of our day to day. But we have about 100 to 200 ego states kind of in our unconscious mind every single day. And what you described feels like it's the, performer Cain ego state. And then once you're done performing, you come back into your, day-to-day ego state. Have you ever like walked to the fridge and not remembered what you were there for?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm I'm a big guy, so I walk to the fridge more than one should, right?
Hey, I get that. I love all the food in my fridge, but sometimes I walk to it, open the door, and I'm looking, I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Halfway through, and it could be, maybe you've got an ego state that only activates when you go into the kitchen. And then you get you were probably in your bedroom, your hungry ego state turned on, you walked into the kitchen, and your kitchen ego state turned on, and you're like, why? What? I forgot why I'm here. So all day our ego states are talking to each other, but sometimes those connections get kind of like severed. Again, we've only got 7 bits of information that is in our conscious mind, and your unconscious mind is processing 3 to 20 million bits of information every second. So those ego states sometimes forget to talk to each other, and then you open the fridge and you forgot why you're there. So yes, I do have that, but I also know how to talk to my ego states. I know how to look within, again, all from hypnosis and self hypnosis. I've got I've got what I call the master controller. one of the therapies that you could do with hypnosis, one of the coaching things that I do with my clients is I help them install their master controller. And the way that I imagine it, have you ever seen the movie Inside Out?
Yes.
I kind of imagine that, but it's a whole bunch of little Azes. They're all really, really cute. And they're all kind of running around. And I've got one kind of master controller, Hypnotist Aza, with her group of other ego states that need to be executive at certain times. And whenever there's a thing that I need to overcome, whenever there's like a struggle that I'm struggling through, I do it a lot at work where I literally say, okay, master controller, help me with it. Help me find the resource for this.
That's an interesting way of doing it, and that puts you in control of yourself, in a way. That's I never looked at it that way, but I look at it in a certain sense that way where there's a switch, but I never
Yeah.
really talked to the master controller. I am the master controller flipping the switch. So
Yeah.
interesting that you say that.
Well, if you imagine the switch, let's just say it's right here, right
Yeah.
here. I just want you to zoom out and see kind of what's around the switch and
Mhm.
zoom out even further and see who is flipping the switch.
Right.
Are there other switches there? Are there other knobs? What else is around there? What does the room look like? And that's really all hypnosis is it's these visualizations to kind of empower people.
Yeah. And the mind is so amazing, and it's so interesting how we don't tap into even a portion of what it really could do. You know what I'm saying? Like the mind, that's why when I get so frustrated when I see people treating other people cruelly or this and that over a lot of different things, be it race, be it anything, because at the end of the day, they're just human beings like we are. They're just going through the human experience like we are, but in their own way. They don't know how we're going through it because they're going through it themselves. But it's like I wish that we would just look at everybody as ourselves. If we could just put, as we would want to be treated, as we would want to be, but it's so hard for people to do. Why is that?
Oh, great question. Let me answer that question with another question.
Yeah.
Those people who are doing those evil things, those people that are, being against the people against race, gender, creed, whatever it is, do you look at them that same way? Or do you look at them as these evil beings?
I look at them, maybe it's wrong. I pity them in a lot of ways because I was just talking about this on another podcast. I sympathize with the villain, and I'll tell you why. It's like sympathy for the devil. It's like sympathy for like the Joker or Thanos or anybody. I sympathize with them only because I see the sadness in their hearts and
Mm-hmm.
I see the misguided part of them, but they feel like they're so right. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying what they're doing is good. It's not good. It's not okay. But I feel so bad for them because had they been guided in a certain way, or maybe been brought up in never another part of the world, whatever it is, um something brought them to where they are. So I mean, do I sit there and judge them? I don't think so. I mean, there's probably a certain aspect of, man, I see the cruelty that they're doing. I'm going, man, this guy's nuts. This guy's out there. But I really do feel for them as an empathetic person. I look at their soul. I mean, the worst, the most cruel people, and I just wish that there was something that could have been done for them because I feel like there's such a sadness to them and an anger that you wish it could have been corrected.
Yeah. So when I had my nonprofit back in the ultra conservative suburb of Chicago, one of our core values was intentional compassion. And what that looked like. So, we ran a pride organization, we ran kind of pride based events in this very Christian Wheaton College area. And intentional compassion looks like, yes, these people may hate us, but we have to look past that hate and look inside and help them kind of figure out why they hate us, right? A lot of that intentional compassion, so the nonprofit core values kind of came from my core values, and I use this in my day-to-day life of it's still assuming positive intent. So yes, Thanos thinks that what he's doing is right, but if he had somebody way back when show up for him, support him, meet all those needs, that he didn't have met, I don't think Thanos would have become Thanos.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm on a mission to do through my shows. Again, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm not a therapist, not a doctor. I just want you to go down deep inside, find out whatever that thing that you need to change, whatever that message that you need to hear is right now, because your unconscious mind knows exactly what is right for you, right? And and if only his needs were met at that young age, he wouldn't have killed 50% of the population. If only Willem Dafoe's needs were met, maybe he wouldn't have had to go become the Green Goblin, right? Like it's all of these things where, yes, I want to look at the people who are being acted against. I want to show up for them first. Absolutely. They're number one on my priority. But number two is going to be the person who's doing those evil, heinous things, and figure out, what's going on. Like, what do you need? Because I can almost guarantee you, any of these bad guys, any of these evil people, never once were asked, what do you need? They were never asked, how can I best show up for you? What's wrong? Literally, it's as simple as that. What's wrong? And like, I take this hypnosis and stuff into my day-to-day life. I work a corporate job, I work at a university, and anybody's having a bad day, anybody isn't meeting these performance standards, no one's hitting their KPIs. My first thought isn't, well, you're bad at your job, you've got 60 days on a PIP, or you're fired. My first thought is, what's going on? You used to be so good. Is everything okay at home? Like, what do you need from me? How can I help you?
That's a wonderful way to look at it. I think as we go through this interview, I think you really have kind of opened my eyes to, and this is why I do this, just talking to different people and seeing other ways to look at things. Because sometimes a person gets so stuck in the gray area of what they feel is so right or what they were taught. But I really do appreciate this interview. The thing that I hate to do is we're gonna have to take a brief intermission here. I shouldn't say I hate it, because this is a wonderful time for me to let my sponsors, run a commercial and talk about them and everything else. So we're gonna take a break here, and we'll be back with Aza Rose.
Hey there, grooming gurus. We've got something wild for you today.
That's right, folks. Get ready to tame the untamed with products that redefine the beard game. Introducing the Elegant Sasquatch Grooming Company.
Elegant Sasquatch, that sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it?
Well, grooming should be an adventure, my friend, and with these products, you'll embark on a journey to the grooming wilderness.
So, what makes the Elegant Sasquatch so unique?
It's all about taking your beard from beastly to beautifully wild. Picture this: you wake up and your beard looks like it just got back from a spa day. That's the magic of their high end beard balms.
Spa day for the beard? Sign me up. And let's not forget their beard butters and oils. It's like giving your beard a tropical vacation. I'm talking about a beach party for your facial hair.
A beach party for the beard. This company's got the best marketing ever.
Oh, but we're not done yet, folks. The Elegant Sasquatch Grooming Company also has beard washes that make shower time a majestic experience.
Showering with Sasquatch, that sounds like a reality show.
It does, but seriously, listeners, if you want to sophisticate your outer beast, head over to elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and use the code SUPERSHOW at checkout for an exclusive discount of 20% off.
You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram. Check them out, like them, and while you're at it, tell them the Super Show sent you.
All right, we're back from our message from our sponsors. Once again, I want to thank Sly Ink Tattoo here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Also, Roots Music Shop, and then of course, the Elegant Sasquatch. They've been with us the whole time. If you have a beard, you got those egg smelling, disgusting, dirty beards, talk to those guys, and they will get you the product that you need. But I am back with my super guest. I'm back with Hypnotist Aza Rose, and I'm excited. This has been a good conversation so far. You got me really calm, feeling great today. I got the palm trees in the back. I'm feeling like $1 million over here. So now Aza, this is where we get weird. See, I used to have the Kane Stevens Paranormal Super Show,
Oh, hell yeah.
and I do a paranormal investigation. I'm big into aliens, all this stuff. I've always been into it ever since I was a little kid. Anything that people consider macabre or, that type of thing, I'm all about it. So, um, first off, I like to ask my guests, have you experienced any paranormal activity? Have you ever experienced a ghost or know anybody who has?
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm going to promote my shows because at my shows, the way that I think about hypnosis, I believe that the unconscious mind is that connection to the supernatural. Again, may not be right. Don't listen to me. I'm not an expert, whatever, right? But what I tell people is, if you just open your heart and your mind, your unconscious mind will start listening again. Because I believe when I was a child, I believe that I heard things. I have a vivid recollection of my godmother's wedding. And I swear on my life that I saw a man in a purple suit at the wedding. Don't know what it was. But at my shows, I tell people, the last suggestion that I give them is, hey, there's a message waiting from you. It could be from your higher self. It could be from a higher power. It could be from a loved one, an ancestor, whatever it is, it's waiting just for you. And I really do believe that that unconscious mind is the mind that, is listening, who sees all of those things, the things that you see out of the corner of your eye. I believe your unconscious mind is looking at those like dead on.
Right.
And if you just open up your unconscious mind, I believe that you can see, hear, feel ghosts and other things as well. Absolutely. I've had people tell me that they had an experience where they felt fairies tickling their eyelashes as they were being hypnotized. And I honestly feel there's people who have different connections to energy, different connections to the world. And I believe her. I believe there actually were fairies tickling her, and I also believe that they're always there. She was just able to feel them in that moment because she was opening her heart and her mind.
And I don't think I completely agree with you. I think that one, I that's something I harp on all the time. I get so angry with people who want to pretend like just because we're into this type of stuff or we're open to it that we're all kooks, right? Of course, we're all in cahoots. We all get together in robes and costumes and sacrifice babies and we talk about the paranormal. Well, no, that's not true, but that's what they think, right? And so I feel like there's nothing too strange. Like people tell me all sorts of stuff, like cryptids, for example. Do you know what a cryptid is? You live in North.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, so you've got a pretty good idea. Now, I was talking to a guy in Iowa around the Des Moines area, and I was born in Iowa. I live in Nebraska, and he let me know about this creature called the Van Meter Visitor. Have you ever heard of that before?
No, tell me more.
Okay, so apparently in 1903, I believe there's this town was for 5 days they were terrorized by these creatures. This creature who it was like a 9 foot tall creature. I think there are multiple ones, right? But it had flesh wings. It had like a almost like a horn, but it emitted light from it. And
Whoa.
they hunted this thing, shot at it. The thing was shot. At least one of them was shot multiple times and did nothing to it. And it's like, and now they have festivals about it, and people are like, okay, maybe it's just like a town tourism thing. I don't think so. I mean, it started with this businessman walking through the streets of this 1903 town and looking up at the top of this building and seeing a light. And the first thing he thought to himself was, uh-oh, we got robbers on our hands. It's a lantern, right? But then this
Whoa.
thing went from one building to another building, like across the like like flew across to this other building. And I mean, that's pretty wild stuff. And this is something I'd never learned about. So I'm kind of like getting obsessed with it. But have you ever heard of, you told me you haven't heard of that one, but what type of cryptids do they have in northern Colorado aside from
Ah,
Bigfoot sightings?
I'm definitely the wrong person to ask about cryptids in northern Colorado. If my mother-in-law was here,
Yeah.
she would be all about it. She would tell you all of the stories. She knows everything's I think my dog might even be a cryptid. We always call her our alien. But let me tell you this, Kane, it's way more fun to believe.
Yeah.
Way more fun to like can you scientifically prove that it isn't there? Probably not. So just believe.
Why not?
Do
And
it. Just
yeah. I mean, if
why?
anything, it could be like it could be a dimensional creature, right? Like people
Literally.
like Bigfoot. Bigfoot doesn't exist. And they always talk like it's one Bigfoot. Like, no, it's not one Bigfoot. Like
Hmm.
obviously there's multiple Sasquatch throughout the country where people are seeing this stuff.
Yeah.
But what's so hard to believe that it could be a dimensional creature? We live in a supernatural world where things happen all the time that people can't explain. And so it's like the fairy thing that you said. This person, my parents used to tell me all the time, still do to this day, they get really nervous about me doing paranormal activity, paranormal investigation. And they tell me if you open yourself up to it, right? This is kind of the old cliche. If you open yourself up to it, it comes. But I'll be darned if you don't start thinking about it and you don't start doing it, if it does kind of present itself, right?
Yeah.
In a way. So there's something to be said about that. Maybe we're just opening our minds to it. Maybe there's more like, we only can see, feel,
Yeah.
hear, and all that a certain amount. So we were talking about the mind earlier. The mind is a beautiful thing. But if we could open up the mind just a little bit more,
Yeah.
maybe we could see all this.
Yeah. Well, and you said the cryptid from Iowa was what, 1903?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have hard jobs. Well, they did have hard. I take that back, but they weren't working, these crazy jobs where they're going back and forth. There weren't as many people. Like, there's so much stuff that's happening right now. There's so many other distractions that are taking away from that thing in the corner of your eye, right? And there's so many things that are, taking you away from listening, hearing, seeing, feeling all of this other energy, all of these other potential beings. And all I'm trying to do is, if you believe, great, go see if you can find one in our group sessions. If you don't believe, great, get a message from yourself too. You know what I mean? Like, it's way more fun to believe. What
It's
a sad life for people who want to negate everything in their world.
I would even go as far as to say that for religion, right? Like, I don't like to bring up religion, only for this, okay? Whether I'm a believer in Christ or whatever, is irrelevant. But I will say this: what's wrong if I do, or what's wrong if you know,
Correct.
what's wrong if I don't? Like, as long as if it makes me a better person at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And I believe in it, and I'm not hurting anybody with it. I'm not going to rallies and going against people and doing all this stuff. Then what's the harm in it at the end of the day? What if I'm not, and I don't believe this, but I'm just going to say it. Even if I was wrong and I died and and there was nothing, right? At least I believed in something, and hey, I
Absolutely.
went out with a belief in something instead of being a brain dead person. It's the closed-minded people. I say I don't want judgment, but the hardest thing for me to do is to not judge people who their minds are so closed. That is one thing that is hard for me to not judge, because
Yeah.
we're all good. We are human beings. We're a pretty evolved mind. Okay, there's no reason why we have to leave ourselves on this closed-minded way of thinking. Like, we are smarter than that. We're not just simple animals in my head. I think that there's far more going on.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think that, again, I'm not going to tell you what I believe or what I don't believe, because it may or may not be true, but it's what I believe. And I'm not here to force you to believe in what I believe in. I'm just here to amplify the things that you believe in, because that's what you need.
Yeah.
And I've had this exact conversation about, like, what if there is nothing at the end? Well, I mean, you still lived your life as, a good Christian person, right? Or whatever it is, believing believing what you believe at the end of your life, and that got you through every single day. And I am so, so happy that you got through all of those other, hard, stressful, very, very difficult days, because there have been probably a lot. But if the thing that gets you through it is this belief in, whatever happens next, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong,
Yeah.
because you're probably right.
Right. And if you aren't right, as long as you didn't hurt anybody with it, then
Correct.
like you said, it was all for the best, right? If nothing
Absolutely.
happens when you die, not to get so deep, but if nothing happens when you die at the end, then there's nothing after. But there was something while you were here. And that's what matters. I don't think that's the case, but I don't want to go too far into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I hate talking about politics. I hate talking about religion with people. I'd rather talk about the weird stuff.
Hell yeah.
Like aliens, for example. Okay, let's talk about aliens. Okay,
Okay.
why does no one care that that they're coming out with aliens exist? You know what I mean? Like there's beings. Why does it seem like all of a sudden nobody cares? Like we had this massive buildup. Like think of I don't did you ever listen to Art Bell or any of that type of stuff? Coast.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So like some of these guys, they were radio hosts and they did a lot of stuff on aliens, a lot of stuff on this type of stuff.
Okay.
And all this time they've had this build up to eventually the government's going to come out and tell us. They're going to tell us. They're going to tell us, right? And now that they've kind of told us, like now that they're saying, well, I mean, yeah, we are having weird stuff happen. Here's said military pilot telling us that he sees this stuff all the time. Why does it seem like nobody cares? Like, are we distracted by everything else? What do you think?
Hey, I already said it. I do think that we are just we are a distracted people now, I would say. Absolutely. And it's not like, I mean, I know what you're referring to with, kind of the proof of these aliens, but it's not like the mainstream media is going to talk about it for whatever reason. Like these people who are distracted, who may or may not believe in the first place, aren't getting that information because they're so distracted by everything else that's happening right now.
Right. Well, are you on TikTok at all? Do you like TikTok as much as I do?
Uh, Unfortunately, I am on TikTok. It takes up a very big, huge part of my time,
It does.
and
It's
it's
so
in my
unfortunately.
my resolution this year is to not be on it as much, and I've already failed so far. So
Well,
yes, I am on TikTok.
reason I bring it up is there's something big going down, right? It's the thing that happened in Miami. Have you seen this?
No, tell me more.
So if you start to curate your TikTok, which is the best part, you watch a few videos and pretty soon it curates to what you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
It always starts with girls taking their clothes off and this and that, and it always kind of curates to like all the other stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
um but for me it's the weird stuff because that's what I'm into. Or like on one of them it's like all music stuff because I'm a musician. So what happened was they had something happen at a mall in Miami, and there was like supposedly over all these police cars, like 30 some cop cars, helicopters, all of a sudden like government vehicles come flying into this mall, and they say that there's a fight breaking out, and they're lighting fireworks inside this place. And
Oh,
but TikTok has these people coming out now saying that I don't know if it's real or not, but they're saying that they were there and that people were witnessing like tall gray creatures, like the grays, like
yeah.
8 to 9 foot tall, slender creatures like coming out of this portal and walking through this mall, and people are running away, terrified, screaming. There's even videos of a being that looks you, but it's like from above.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty crazy. You should check it out. It's like the newest hotness, so to speak, of like the crazy stuff going on in our country, aside from like hearing of a shooting every other day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me. But you never know what to believe. We also live in a distracted world, yes, but we live in a world of people making stuff up on the internet. And so it's
Right.
really hard to know what's real and what isn't. But I would invite you and everybody else to check it out because I'll be talking about this for a while on the show.
Yeah. Like I said, way more fun to believe. Way
Yeah,
more fun.
it is. Well, I know I've been talking your ear off. I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I do want to allow this time to you to promote whatever you'd like to the listeners out there. If you have anything you want to promote, feel free to do now.
Perfect. So you can find me and all of my happenings at hypnotistaza.com. I do every second and fourth Saturday of the month. I do a free live stream for anybody else who wants to experience what Cain experienced today. I'm going on tour with the Mind Body Spirit Expo, so I'll be in Chicago, I'll be in Denver, I'll be in Portland, and I'll be in Austin. So go check my website for all of that information. If you're in the Northern Colorado area and you want some unconscious coaching, you can get that from me. If you want to do a virtual session, also can do that from me. Cain experienced some hypnosis today, and I hope that you can too. But before I stop talking, I just want everybody listening to the sound of my voice to come up and wide awake now. Just have to, just to cross my T's and dot my I's, making sure.
No, that's perfect. And I do want you to know, I really did enjoy this interview with you. I enjoy all my interviews with people, but I like the aspect of the way you did it. Not that I didn't. I really enjoyed talking to Jesse. Jesse is a great hypnotist. Maybe it was me blabbing too much. He didn't get enough time to show me like what a hypnotist does, and I didn't know if that's where this was going to go, but I'm really glad that we did. It really calmed me down, and it really made me feel good about it. So thank you so much for being on the show and for showing my listeners what hypnosis is, and I hope to have you back sometime.
Of course. And remember, it's not something I did to you. You did it all.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, everybody. That's our guest. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you on the other side. Here is your host,